What's going on YouTube? Cloverbell's here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be spotlighting Metagross for the regulationH format. So this was a tier 3 sub request to the channel where the viewer wanted to build a team around Metagross. And I said, okay, sure, we have a few ideas that we can do with Metagross. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you're trying to build a team around a certain Pokemon and you're not quite sure how to go about it, make sure you check out coaching on the channel. There is a link in the video description below, as well as in the pinned comment section, where you can sign up for tier 3. And when you do that, you are able to schedule a one-on-one session with me, and we can build the team around the Pokemon of your choosing. Okay, but anyway, more on that later. Let's talk more about Metagross here. So anytime you want to build something around like a steel type, you always have to ask yourself, what advantage does this give me over something like Gholdengo or Kingambit here? And we're going to be using Kingambit because these two are very much comparable with each other. Now, overall, Kingambit is the better Pokemon, right? There's a reason why it's top 3 in usage, okay, right behind Rillaboom and Sneasler, because it's just so good. Kowtow Cleave is a great move, okay? And then you have Sucker Punch priority stuff, and then you have Swords Dance setup, and then even Protect here. And then the Black Glasses just makes it do so much damage, okay? All right, and that's really good. That's a great set for Kingambit. It can also do the Assault Vest set, where now you're having 4 moves instead of 2. So now you have Iron Head, you know, for your Steel Stab move, and then at the same time you also get something like Low Kick here, which is also rising in uses. There is the occasional Terra Blast on the Kingambit, but for the most part, this would be a typical Assault Vest set. Cool. Now, what about Metagross? So you have to compare them in terms of their stats, ideally, because look at this. You know, 80 HP, 100 for Kingambit. So Kingambit does trump you there. The attacks are the same. Both are 135. The defense and the speed that Metagross has a little bit better bulk in terms of that, because 130 and 90 beats 120 and 85. But still, Kingambit's bulk is still excellent, right? You already know how good this thing is. Now, the typing-wise, Steel Psychic versus Dark Steel. So Kingambit can sit in front of, you know, Psy Spam stuff and can click dark moves, especially into Indeedee, which is great. But Metagross can't do that, but you still can resist it because you are a Psychic type. Now, that being said, also, both of these, they both have a priority move. So this has Bullet Punch, okay? And this has Sucker Punch, right? Now, the Sucker Punch, again, if you don't click an attacking move, Sucker Punch can fail. And that's a little bit more easier to play around than Bullet Punch. So, you know, regardless whether you click an attacking move or a setup move, Bullet Punch will connect, okay, unless you switch in something like Furgraph, of course. So that's harder to play around, and that's important if you want to, you know, use a Metagross, because, you know, you're pretty slow. So if you can get off a big hitting Bullet Punch, that's gonna make a big difference in terms of creating pins against the opponent, right? Base speed, Metagross is a little bit faster, so 70 versus 50, so that's important. So you can outspeed the other base 50s, like another Ursaluna for that matter, and that's gonna be important later on. But as far as this, with both of them, they both enjoy the Sneasler coaching setup, right? And we have seen this already in plenty of teams, okay? Now, Assault Vest Metagross. This is very, very important because now it's... I can't type the Assault Vest. There we go. The Metagross all of a sudden becomes very, very unbreakable because now you have the AV and then you add +1 defense along with the attack boost with an already strong attack stat. Then Metagross starts hitting super hard. So does Kingambit, by the way. If these both have a coaching boost, they become very difficult to remove. Now, in terms of the coverage, okay, yes, they both get a cool steel move. And again, Heavy Slam is also very, very strong into a lot of different things because Metagross is so heavy. And then you add the coaching boost, and now all of a sudden, Heavy Slams are just one-shotting things left and right. But this also gets Stomping Tantrum, right? And Kingambit does not get that ground coverage. And Metagross can do a lot into a lot of the other steel types. So, for example, if you want to go against another Kingambit, you have Stomping Tantrum there. You have this into Gholdengo. You have this into Arkeladon for that matter, if you want to go in that direction. So that's also important to note. And then you add the idea of a Psychic move. So if you have Psychic Fangs here, yes, that's pretty good against screen stuff. So think about all the Ninetales Aurora Veils running around, okay? Psychic Fangs looks really good now, and then, you know, there is the occasional Grimmsnarl stuff, but for the most part, it's more or less the Ninetales shenanigans. And, you know, unless the Kingambit is running the Steel move, sometimes it can't really hit the Ninetales all that hard. So it needs a little bit of help with the steel move, which is why they're opting to go for the Assault Vest a little bit more with the steel coverage. But Metagross says, listen, I can break those screens with the Psychic Fangs, and I can KO the Ninetales with the Heavy Slam at that matter. So, you know, Metagross's niche can rise a little bit more right now as opposed to before, where maybe the Kingambit was just way, way, way stronger. Right now, Kingambit is still the more dominant mon, but Metagross can kind of slowly close that gap just because there is so much more Ninetales now than there was before, right? And this is still pretty good into stuff like Amoongus, other Terra Poison mons, and then even against the Terra Poison Primarinas for that matter. So you have that, and then even against another Sneasler, right? So, you know, depending on what their Terra is, like Metagross, even stopping Tantrum looks pretty good there, but you can just one-shot it with Heavy Slam anyway. So, you know, anyway, that being said, I think these are both great Pokemon. I do think the Gambit is the overall better option, but there is a niche for Metagross in that sense. Now, in terms of a team, we did see this in Louisville from Andrew Novak, but he had both Metagross and Kingambit on the same team. I understand that, but I don't think we necessarily need that. I think they're both kind of doing the same role, whereas you have that big, strong, bulky steel type on your team. I think we can get a little bit more variance and add something else for that matter. So because this is a Metagross video and because this is a Metagross team, we're going to focus in that regard. So in terms of building, we'll still keep it like this. In terms of an EV set, I think you always want to just, you know, get good value out of your attack stat when Metagross because 135 is just so strong. I think you can just go here into the third bump here. And again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, make sure you comment in the video below asking what are EV bumps, because it's a very fundamental part of team building that you have to understand if you want to create EV spreads for Pokemon. So if you don't know what they are, ask below what are EV bumps and I will reply to you and respond to you. Or if you go back to our video about 2 months ago, we made this whole idea explaining what are EV bumps. So go ahead and watch that video if you haven't done so already. Anyway, so we'll go third bump here into the attack stat. And then just honestly, even numbers for my defense and my special defense. I have the Assault Vest. I'm getting a +1 boost into my defense. So I want a nice even number there because again, +1 is times 1.5. If I have an odd number like this, then it comes out to a decimal, then it rounds down, and I'm a sad puppy. I don't want to be a sad puppy, I want to be a happy puppy. So I'll go into my even numbers, so this way I get the best value from my setup, right? So after this, then you have 288 EVs left to play with. You can almost just pretty much max your HP and just dump the rest here into defense, into speed. But we can just put one more point here and just do it like this, right? Just for like the max speed Dondozo's ideas, right? You know, if they don't have the Tatsugiri for that matter, but I don't think those have any speed anyway. But anyway, at least outspeeding most Primarinas I think is important, you know, just to snipe them, you know, with heavy slams and whatnot. So I think this is still okay. And yeah, good value out of your HP. I think you almost always want to go like max HP on your Metagross, just because of the bulk that you already have. Let's increase your longevity with a little bit more HP in this sense, right? So it's coaching Sneasler. So I like this, you know, with close combat, dire claw, coaching, and then protect. You can go fake out here, but I still think this is already okay with what we want. Now, here with the ability, you can go poison touch. You can also go unburden. I think they're both very good. If you want to do either one, you know, there's no argument against us, but yeah. Now, what's also really cool is I do like Ghost Terra here because, you know, things often want to fake out the Sneasler to stop the coaching boost, and then the Metagross or whatever physical attacker that we're going to have just doesn't have the boost that it gets on that particular turn, right? So what you can do is go with the Terra Ghost and then beef up the Metagross, and then next turn, what you can do is just start going for big KOs because you can go for coaching again. All right, after that, then you can start going with more physical options here. So I think Garchomp and D-Knight also always want to come to this just because, you know, Garchomp and Dragon have very strong combination, especially now that you have Scale Shot D-Knight along with Life Orb Garchomp over here. Now, this is where, like, you know, the Kingambit had great value because now what ends up happening is if you want to intimidate these guys, that's a little bit more riskier because the Kingambit will get the Defiant boost. So now these guys are a little bit more prone to intimidate, but that's okay because you can still get around it. You know, even if you intimidate the Sneasler, it's not that bad because, again, the Metagross doesn't really care about the Intimidate. You can beef this up. Now, you don't get to punish the Intimidate because, again, your Metagross doesn't get that attack boost. and then these guys are still like -1s or whatever, but you can still counter it and balance it out with the coaching boost, and then next turn go for another coaching boost after the Incineroar has done its job, right? And then it's forced to switch out if it wants to keep cycling those Intimidate. So that's still okay, right? It's not a huge deal. You just have to position better around the Intimidate stuff. All right, but anyway, Earthquake is great. Stomping Tantrum, of course. Then you have the Dragon Claw Stab, okay, and then Protect over here. And then you can go Terra Steel, Terra Fire. I think both are good. I like Terra Fire right now. I think it's also fine. Dragonite, Terra Fairy, which is great. You know, so this way you dodge your Dragon Nukes against you. Again, with the loaded dice set, you know, it's Scale Shot, Extreme Speed, and of course the Low Kick tech is pretty cool right now. And then we'll just go Protect over here. Both of these are just straight 252, 252 stuff. Nothing else really needs to be said with these guys. You know, they're doing the job. And what's really good about, again, the Jolly D-Knight, pros and cons. This speed allows you to outspeed the Dragon Bolt after +1. The downside is you're not adamant, so you know your damage is not as good as it normally would be with the adamant set, or even with like the bandit set, but this is also where you get the coaching boost, right? So one thing about coaching is, again, you have to be aware of haze users, and you have to be aware of, you know, clear smog stuff, so just be mindful of that. You know, we're gonna have our own haze / clear smog user of our own, but I also think Ninetales is great here onto teams like this, because now you can make this entire team bulky with the Aurora Veil. So now it's even more unbreakable if you're able to just position yourself and go for this. And then we're still going to go with some damage here with Never Melt Ice. And I still like Blizzard. And I still like Freeze Dry. Okay? Freeze Dry, great into Pelipper's. Blizzard, great spam move against other Dragonites and Garchomps overall. Great into the other ground types too. Great into Rillaboom. I think it just does a great value here. And, you know, the occasional freeze just wins you games, right? So we'll do that. And then, you know, again, so you see like all these guys are just 252, 252 sets. Jolly Sneasler is also pretty strong. Again, just making sure you outspeed big threats. And then finally, we can go with Magmar here. So the reason I like Magmar onto something like this is you need something else to break other steel types, like, for example, a Corviknight, because you can't really click your ground moves into that thing. So having a good fire type into that is going to make a lot of sense. And then at the same time, you also get Vital Spirit. You get to redirect, you know, just Amoongus stuff, or just, you know, it's also pretty good into Mouse Annihilate, because, you know, Amoongus, yes, would be good, but these mouse holes have safety goggles. So that's going to get around the beat up. So now the Magmar says, you know what, we don't have to worry about that. We can just go and lead this and redirect. And at the same time, what we also get access to is Clear Smog. And I like this tech. I did see this recently, you know, from the past regional, and I think it makes sense and it's very smart. So follow me, of course, and then Clear Smog, and then just one big nuke with Overheat is all you need. You can go Flamethrower or Heat Wave here. I think that's personal preference, but I think I just want one big nuke for that Corviknight, or even for that Amoongus, and, you know, Magmar will have done its job, right? And then again, the occasional Clear Smog. You can remove Intimidate debuffs from these guys too. So I think that's also important. I have done that in a couple of games. So, you know, it just it's kind of funny when it does work, but you do need that answer into other setups. And some people that are still playing Dondozo, I think the Clear Smog also is quite useful here. Anyway, for Terra types, I do like the Terra Flying Metagross here. I also like Terra Flying on our Magmar here. I think both are very good. Okay, so then after that, then we go into the Sneasler. We already said Ghost Terra, Fire Terra here, Fairy Terra here. Ninetales, you can keep Terra Ice. I think Terra Ice is also still fine. If you want to go Terra Flying, I think you could definitely do that. But I do like this 6 in terms of what we're trying to do with it. Now, in terms of our Magmar EVs, I still think you want max HP here. Again, base HP 65 is not all that good. We can go Bolt Terra here. We don't have the Will-O-Wisp set, so I don't need to outspeed other max speed Adamant Dragonite, so I'm just going to go super bulky here. A little bit of speed. I think 36 is okay. You outspeed the Modest Pelipper's. That's good enough for me. And then you just go like this, you know, just hitting the bump here at 180 defense. So you get that nice solid 110 even number value for your Evaluate, and then 1 point in your special attack, and then just dump the rest here into special defense, and that's it. You know, you got your nice even bulk for your defense and SpDef, and that's really all you want out of your Magmar, right? So it's a very standard Magmar EV set. So this is it. This is our Metagross squad. again, some very common standard pieces, but this is what you want to do. But we do have some, some change-ups, some interesting Terras, but it makes sense. It's like you have a lot of flying types here, with the Metagross and the Magmar. You could argue the Sneasler could be doing that too, so you can Earthquake next to it, but I think the Ghost Terra is just so valuable. But if you want to go Terra Flying on your Sneasler, you can definitely do that as well. But you can kind of see how it plays here. Again, coaching into 1, 2, 3, and you can technically coach any of these targets. So this way, they become super bulking and can survive. And then after this, you have your big damage dealers, with Chomp, Metagross, and even the D-Knight. And then Ninetales can also give you some special attack damage and change weather for you with Blizzards and Freeze Dries and the Aurora Veil, right? So I think this is cool for what we want to do with Metagross if I had to build a team with Metagross. So yeah, this is it. So now let's take a look at some test games and let's see how the team functions. Okay, so this is like Arkelid and Chomp stuff with the Yanmega along with Kingambit. This almost looks like that Wolf Glick idea and some of them, but there's no Porygon here. There's no other stuff here, and they put a Ninetales here, so that's okay. But overall, I think Metagross looks really strong here. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we have so much ground coverage into a lot of what he has here, and we even have a Steel type coverage move into the Ninetales. So as long as we can get that going, I think we'll be fine. So there's the Incineroar, there's the Intimidate lead with the Chomp. Okay, so we've got Sneasler and we've got Metagross here. So Sneasler gets Intimidate, but that's okay. That doesn't matter to us, right? So we're gonna go with Flying Metagross here. I want to just protect the Sneasler first. I want to do a little bit of chip damage, but he protects Chomp here. So that's a smart idea there, right? So I like that a lot. He went for Parting Shot into the Sneasler. Very interesting play. But now he goes into Gambit. That's okay, because now we can start coaching the Metagross, okay? And now we can start going for Heavy Slimes into the Garchomp, but he switches into Gambit here. All right, so now he does do the Parting Shot into the Sneasler, and he goes back into the Chomp here. That's fine. We're already Terraflying. Okay, he's cycling the Sneasler here. He thinks the Sneasler is the big threat, but it really isn't. All right, Sucker Punch doesn't do anything. Look at that. All right, more coaching boost into the Sneasler. From Sneasler into the Metagross here, and stopping Tantrum. Again, the Dark Terror there. But again, now we just Bullet Punch him and he just drops there, right? So close combat just to chip the Instant, just to put it in range. We do get the Poison Infliction. Again, knockoff doesn't matter. He chose a bunch of physical attackers. So yeah, this is great for us. Ninetales, that's gonna drop here. Okay, so he protects the Ninetales. That's fine. Okay, we Bullet Punch there. But now look at this. Again, we're just making the Metagross even beefier. All right, he goes for Flare Blitz. That's worse for him because now he takes more damage. Okay, and he does almost drop to Poison here. We get the burn drop. Unfortunate, but now we go into Chomp here. Okay, this is easy. He goes into his own Chomp. We just protect first. Okay, and then we just Bullet Punch this, and that's okay, right? Now, I could have also clicked the ground move. That would have been fine into the instant, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Look, he's already like almost on his last legs here with the Poison. All right, there's the Fake Out, so he just kills himself anyway. That's fine. And what does the Chomp do? Like, he can kill me, right? But that doesn't address the threat of the Metagross on the field. There's no way, Dragon Claws are going to go through a +3 Metagross in terms of defense. And then we just simply one-shot it, and Metagross does win us this game. So you can see the value of the bulk here. I could have gone for coaching turn 1 into the Metagross, but I just wanted to see what he would do with the instant. So, yeah. Alright, so this type of game with Tyranitar Sand and the Instant Amoongus, and there's the Corviknight. So this is where something like Magmar is really useful, as long as you get rid of, the rock types and other stuff, right? Because we've got that for the Corviknight and the Amoongus, so as long as we have the position for Magmar, we'll be okay. Alright, so I kind of just want to remove all of his main threats, so I want to just go Sneasler Metagross first again, and there is the Primarina, he called it Richard, and then there's the Instant again, another Intimidate. So that's fine. Again, so I'm going to go Ghost Terra Sneasler this time. He goes Ghost Terra Primarina, so that's smart from him, okay? But we get the crit anyway, so goodbye Prim. It doesn't really matter what Terra he had, because I was going for a Steel move, and +1 just snipes the Primarina from that range anyway. So now here's the Corviknight. I'm going to leave that thing alone. My main job here is to smash the Instant, so I don't have to worry about that later. There it goes. It drops. So he can go for Iron Defense. That's okay. We have the Magmar for this. It's just Tyranitar left. That's fine too. Again, Bullet Punch, really strong into T-Tar. I know he's Assault Vest, so we just immediately remove 3 threats already from the opening turn. So now, this is where things get interesting, because now he's just going to keep going for these Iron Defenses. And what I really want is just to keep the Metagross alive here, and just keep chipping a little bit more into the Corviknight just to like kind of put it in range for the Magmar overheat. I'm pretty sure it just simply KOs from this range. But I just want to make sure and just get as much chip as I can. And I want the free switch, right? I don't want to just pivot it in and just take a body press and die, right? So he goes for Tailwind. That makes things a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm just going to go into Chomp first. He goes for another Iron Defense. So, you know, he's playing the long game here. You know, again, I'm not dealing a whole lot of damage, right? But again, I have been doing a lot of chip. So there's, again, more chip there with the rough skin. Dragon Claw, obviously not doing much. But now I remove myself, which is great because now I can get the free switch into the Magmar. He has one turn of Tailwind left. I'm just going to protect this turn and still deal some chip with Metagross. Okay, just to make sure that I outspeed it next turn and then just remove it, right? So, you know, now there's no more Tailwind. He protects. That doesn't mean anything because the recovery that he gets is not enough to offset the KO from the overheat, right? So Magmar coming in clutch here in the late game. There goes the Corviknight, and there goes the win. So Metagross was able to remove everything not named Corviknight, and Magmar just cleans up in the end game. Okay, so that's another weird team, another Incineroar there. But again, it doesn't really matter because look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 ground weeks. You can only Terra so many Pokemon. So I think just leading Garchomp immediately is strong with Sneasler. And if he does lead Primarina, then the Sneasler looks really good there in that sense, right? So there's the Incin. Now, again, another Ghost Terra. But it's weird, right? Because he fakes out the Chomp instead. So that's fine by me. Fake out Protect is never the play. I don't think you need to do that. Fake out Protect is just silly, right? Because that values me. I got the free coaching boost, right? So there. Now Garchomp is +1 and 2 defense. Now we just remove the Incin. I don't really care about this Glamora per se. He can hit his Meteor Beam if he wants. I just needed to get the Incin out of here. And he misses the Meteor Beam anyway, right? So that's cool. Now he goes into Goldengo here. I just protect Sneasler. I click the EQ button and, you know, everything just drops, obviously, right? The Goldengo was never living this. And now this is a very quick game because Fake Out Protect is no good. Now he brings in Tinkaton and then he just forfeits because, again, that's another ground week. He brought all 4 ground weeks into a Garchomp. Okay, so that's another interesting team. So we already know what we're getting with Pelipper, Basculegion, and the Arkeladon. Now, we did see the Weavile from Jamie Boyd in the regional. Again, you know, the ice coverage that you're getting along with the dark typing would fake out and even beat up into that Arkeladon. So we are aware of that. But I just think some better play with Dragonite and Garchomp looks really good here. Especially against his other dragons for what and our ground typing advantage. So Garchomp here and Dragonite there. So there's the ice coverage, so that's good from him. But I just want to see what he does, and just in case if he does do the fake out stuff. So I'm gonna protect here. All right, and he already Terra the Appleton, so he's Terra Steeled there, and he was going for the ice move, right? So that makes me want to Terra the Fire, the Chomp. He does go for the knockoff there, so that's important. He does remove his Sash, but here's the Earthquake. I was going for the low kick into the Weavile, right? I didn't really care about the Appleton per se, right? But he does live, and then he takes the low kick instead, right? So then it just becomes Terra Blast, Terra Steel. That's fine. But here comes Pelipper. This is fine, okay? Because all I have to do now is just change the weather and just remove the Appleton and trap the Pelipper in because now he can't have weather control anymore. So he was going for the weather ball into the Chomp there. All right, now here comes our Arkeladon. This is fine. So I could have probably just freeze dried the Pelipper here and not have to worry about Tailwind per se, and then just scale shot at the Pelipper, right? So, but I was worried about Protect, and I guess I overread it too much, and now he just clicks Tailwind, right? So I do get a little bit of a punishment from that, but this is still fine, right? But he clicks Electro Shot. That's a throw, right? I don't know why he does that. Look at how much damage Low Kick is doing. So even though he gets a defense boost, you know, close combat just beats him anyway. And, you know, I have the Aurora Veil, so I'm fine here. And I even take a Weather Ball, you know, that was ice and into my multi-scale D-Knight there. So again, with the Aurora Veil, it just made things a little bit easier. But I felt like I could have just freeze-dried the Pelipper and just one-shot it and leave everything else, you know, to beat the Arkeladon. All right, this one's another one. So another Pelipper team. This time he's got Garchomp here. So Chomp looks pretty cool, you know, with Pelipper and Arkeladon. I like ground types, like maybe even Ursaluna with this stuff. I think it makes a lot of sense. But overall, again, there's the Kingambit, there's the Amoongus. I do like, to an extent, some Ninetales play into this, but I'm still just going to lead Garchomp Dragonite into most of these games, right? So he goes into his own Chomp. So 50-50 game here. What I want to do is actually just protect here and see what he wants to do and just scale shot his Chomp. Maybe even force a Terra. He got raw outrage. That is insane. All right. I think we take that as a D-Knight, but yeah, that's interesting. But anyway, so we get a scale shot going. He does get his Tailwind. That's okay, I think, right? So here comes Arkeladin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pivot in the Ninetales, you know, just in case he wants to do Electro Shot. I just want to just scale shot this Pelipper here. Again, it's not that much damage, and I don't even get the 5th hit here, so that's unfortunate for me. But there was the Electro Shot coming out there, right? Raw Hurricane does hit my Ninetales, so that's unfortunate for me. He goes into Superior here. Again, more scale shot just to try and get the speed advantage for me. I still only get 4 hits here, right? But there's the Electro Shot. That's okay. But now I get the chance to go for the Aurora Veil before he repivots in the Pelipper, right? So he protects the Superior. He goes Terra Grass protects. What's the point of Terraing if you're just going to protect? I don't see the reason that you have to do that, right? So he does remove the D-Knight. That's okay. This Arkeladin has taken so much damage already. And it's fine because we always have the Freeze Dry pin into this slot. So he does do it now, but what difference does it make? Because now we just CC the Arkeladin and then we just Freeze Dry the Pelipper. So I didn't understand what he was doing here, but again, we always had the pin because we had the speed advantage, right? And now he brings in the Superior and we just click Dire Claw and the match is over, right? So timely pivot from the Ninetales is always good into Pelipper stuff. And, you know, D-Knight Scale Shot is just really good. All right, another Rain team, but this one has the Murkrow here with Haze along with Goldango stuff. So this is one of those matchups where you have to be aware because they can haze away your debuff. So what you want to do is at least get your Dragonite E-Speed into play a little bit. So you can coach the D-Knight and just deal some damage into his Murkrow if he decides to lead that. And then you can just E-Speed it next turn so he can't even go for his Haze if he went for Tailwind or something the previous turn. So here we go. So there he does lead the Murkrow, right? And even if he didn't, I still always want to lead D-Knight into a lot of what he has and just not touch the Arkeladin until the end. So there's the Tailwind. That's fine. So Nasty Plot Goldango comes out here. I thought he would just click Make It Rain. He did not. But here we go. Coaching Boost into Scale Shot into the Murkrow here. I get 4 shots in here. I don't get the 5th, but that's fine because now I have this E-Speed pressure. So he goes into the Pelipper, right? So he never got to click the Haze, and that's important. Because I get to keep my buffs here. So I want to protect this Sneasler. I don't want to take the Make It Rain damage. And he hits the D-Knight. It almost kills me, right? Even through multi-scale. Because Goldango is just that strong. And it was Life Orb too. But now I just want to try and go into the Pelipper. It didn't work. I thought he would go into the Make It Rain idea and just remove my D-Knight. But he doesn't. And he lets me click Close Combat there. But yeah, and there's the Weather Ball from the Pelipper. So D-Knight was going down no matter what, regardless. But now this is okay. One more turn of Tailwind. He comes in with the Arkeladin now. I'm going to go into Ninetales, change the weather. He clicks Wide Guard there. Interesting enough, that's his last turn of Tailwind. I should have just protected, but, you know, to each their own. But now I go into Garchomp here for free. I'm going to go Terra Fire. He goes for Wide Guard again, maybe thinking I click Blizzard. But you just showed me Wide Guard, so I'm just going to click Freeze right here. And the Stomping Tantrum does a lot of damage. He lives it, which is good EVs on his part for his Arkeladin. And my Ninetales does, in fact, drop here. So now he's got a Murkrow that's almost on its last legs, along with Arkeladin. Of course, there's only one threat here, and that is the Arkeladin. I feel like even with the Draco, you know, because I have the Aurora Veil, I was living everything. And there's not a whole lot he could have done here. You know, just... I think Rain Dance was a mistake. I think you got to go with the Tailwind Draco if you did have it, but he probably... Meh. I think I lived through the Veil anyway. But a crit, you know, you never know. But anyway, there's the pace. So yeah, you know, if you wanted Metagross, here it is. This is, I think, the best kind of squad we can come up with if I had to use Metagross. Again, you know, Kingambit overall is the better mon, but there are some advantages and some niches that you can have with Metagross that Kingambit cannot give you. And I think we have it here, you know, just with like the core pieces here with Sneasler, Chomp, D-Knight, Ninetales here, have a Magmar Redirector, and this looks like this wants Kingambit, but Metagross AV also looks pretty okay in this sense. All right, so give this a go. Let us know how you do. And again, if you're interested in building a squad yourself and you need a little bit of help, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you that one-on-one session with me, and then we can build you a squad from scratch. So this way you can get something ready for a local challenge or a premier challenge, whatever they call it these days. Maybe your next local at Toronto for whatever. Not local, that's a regional. Very big difference. But yeah, if you look again in the pinned comment section or in the video description, you do have that link to click for the tier 3 sub. Okay, you can join the Discord for free. And then after that, you know, you can message me and we'll plan something out. All right, but that's it. We'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.